Hey guys, what's up? This is my third official video. Super excited. Just want to make this really casual with you guys. I came across something that I thought about the other day. And I thought about it way before me and my sister's boyfriend talked about it because he kind of brought it back up to me and I was like, "Oh, that's so right. Why did I say that?" I said a comment to him when we were talking and I said, yeah, when I used to play ball, I used to be a beast. And I remember him looking at me and he was like, why are you saying you used to be? Like, that's still you. And I was like, I know. When I caught myself, I was like, okay, I understand that. Um, but I was like, I'm just trying to find that inner beast. It's kind of like, it's funny because I'm not saying I relate to this person at all. But I do relate in this aspect or understand when she says this. Beyonce says she has an alter ego and she calls it Sasha Fierce. And it's so funny. I saw a meme the other day and she was like, I'm just trying to bring back Sasha Fierce. And they're like, Sasha Fierce is dead. And she's like, I know, I gotta raise her back from the dead. And I related to that because I was like, I have an alter ego. And I wouldn't necessarily say that I have a name for my alter ego. Um, the only name I could think of, which is, I love it, my dad gave it to me when I was a kid. He used to call me TNT. Um, Even though that's not really like a smooth nickname, he used to call me that because he used to say I was dynamite on the court when I was little. And I love that name. So I say it's TNT. It's my alter ego. And my alter ego comes out when I play ball. So I just thought it was really cute, and I was like, "Oh my god, I get you, Beyonce." But when we're talking about that, I had already kind of learned that and realized that one day. And it's funny because I realized that when I was at Eastern and I was still playing basketball. And even though I didn't play the way I wanted to play, I still understood who I was and that even though I wasn't myself when I was playing, and I kind of lost that hunger or that, I wouldn't say hunger necessarily, I always have it, but that mentality to just destroy, if that makes any sense. Um, I was learning, thank God I was learning it. I went to Eastern. I was blessed to have a year to understand myself, get myself together. I went to a great church. And what I was realizing one day, I thought about it. I was like, just because I can't get out of this funk of being the player that I used to be, that people saw me as that scrappy Cuban player that took no shit from anybody, um, I realized like that's still me. Like I looked back at my whole college career and I was like, Tiff, you literally took no shit from anybody. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. In my college career, I fought. I fought a lot for myself. And even though sometimes, I should have picked my battles better, I was just so passionate about my dreams and I wasn't going to let someone put me in a box and tell me, "Oh, you're this or you can't do that." Like, why? Like, I'm good enough. I know I'm good enough. Like, believe in me. I'm showing you. I'm working hard. But what I realized was, yeah, like I was still that girl like in practices. I was still that girl that was fighting for myself. I was still that girl that was hungry, that had an edge, had a chip on her shoulder like she always had. Even though the results weren't showing it, even though basketball wasn't working out the way I wanted to, I was still that girl. And the moral of the story is a lot of people feel that they lose their identity um if they have to give up something that they've been doing their whole lives. Let me tell you, I've been playing basketball since I was 5 years old. Um, and a lot of people don't know this, but my trainer and my dad like had me in a gym 24/7. I didn't really have a childhood. All I knew was ball, and that's why I was so passionate about it. Um, and for me to come to that realization that maybe I wasn't gonna be that player that people thought it was gonna be, maybe I wasn't gonna make it to the WNBA, it was really hard. It was hard to a point where like most of you know, that I've talked about, I went through severe depression to the point where I almost didn't graduate at Fordham. Um, and not because I wasn't up to date, it was just towards the end of my final year, I couldn't even get out of bed. That's how depressed I was. And it happens to the best of us. I thank my friends all the time. I tell them all the time. I have amazing friendships that I found along the way in my college career that I wouldn't change my story so that I could have a success basketball story, because if I had that, I wouldn't have met who I've met. I wouldn't have the relationships that I have. And those people literally came to me every single day and made sure I got out of bed and I finished and I graduated. So big shout out to my friends. I love you guys. So I started to realize that basketball wasn't the thing that really defined me. What defined me was myself. Like, what made me great in basketball wasn't because I was just talented. It was my energy. It was my attitude. It was who I was, who I wanted to be. And I can take that same person and apply it into anything that I do and still be that person and still be that beast. And it's helped me so much get out of this state of depression or this state of sadness because basketball didn't work out for me and I dedicated most of my life to it. And I was so driven in it and I just was so goal oriented in it. But I realized like I could be that same badass bitch, whatever you want to call it, in anything I do. Because I am that. Basketball didn't make me that. I made me that. I gave basketball life. That's how I see it. So, for those who are struggling with giving up something, I was at a state too where I was like, okay, do I give up basketball or do I continue, God? Like, what do you want me to do? I've been fighting for 5 years. Like, I went an extra year to college to play to see if it works out. And I went to a pro combine to see if I could go pro. So, what do you want me to do now, God? Like, do I keep trying? Like, a lot of people are in that state, and I get it. Like, you don't know what to do. You're like, do I give up? I don't want to give up. I don't want to seem like I'm that person that's giving up. And my advice to you is try and try and try until you can't try anymore, until you realize that if you notice like your focus is a little off it and it's not the same, I think maybe it's time to move on from it. And that's not necessarily quitting. I don't like to use that word quitting. That's not quitting. I don't think I quit. I went to the farthest I can possibly go. And it still didn't work out. So that to me is just, all right, Tiff, it's time to move on. It's time to use your other talents and use your other strengths and use your beast mode into something else. And I think that's very important for all of us. So don't be discouraged having a loss of identity because you're letting go of something. You're not letting go of anything. You were great in that because you're great, because you're talented, because you're beautiful, because you're strong, because you're worthy. Whatever you do in life, you're still going to keep that same energy, that same passion, that same confidence. It doesn't change. So that's my little speech today, guys, or our little discussion. I love you guys, and I hope to keep having these revelations or these things that I'm learning so I can share with you guys. And I would love to hear from you guys back because I think it's so important that I learn something from you guys too. So thank you. I love you guys and have a great day.